Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel'sIrishPub.com. Time for another movie review. Yep. Tonight, a little bit different. This is a movie called All Saints, which by the sound of it is probably faith-based, and it's made by Affirm Films, which is known for their faith-based movies, which I actually enjoy. So if it's not a movie for you, that's okay. I do plenty of movie reviews, but these I usually do like. I used to watch a whole bunch of them. Before I started this YouTube channel, I used to watch a lot of them, but I like to sprinkle one in every now and again and see what it's about. Usually there's a good lesson to be learned or a good story to be told. So this one is about a salesman who is turned into a pastor, and he's sent to close some church, and then he meets a bunch of refugees as well. So I'm not really sure, but I think together they start to plant the seeds to make, the future happen. Something like that it says. But it stars John Corbett, if I said that right. I originally saw him in Northern Exposure, and I liked him in that movie. He was also in My Big Fat Greek Wedding 1 and 2. That's where you might know him from. Among other things as well, but Northern Exposure is when I got my exposure to John. And then also Barry Corbin, One Tree Hill. He was a coach from One Tree Hill, so if you don't know what One Tree Hill is, maybe go ahead and watch that. Let's talk about ratings. IMDb 5.7. The Rotten Tomatoes now 93% from the critics, and 78 from the audience. So pretty high expectations for this one. Could be really good. I don't know. Hour and 48 minutes. I'll get into it here a little bit, and I'll come back and tell you truly what it's about, like I always do. So stick with me if you're interested in these types of films, or at least learning a little bit more about it. I try and keep the reviews short so you can make a decision on whether you want to watch the film or not. So I will stop right now and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, I want to do a quick check-in here. We're watching All Saints. It's 44. We're at the 44-minute and 20-second mark. Give you a better idea of what the movie's really about. So John Corbett used to be a paper salesman, but has always had the calling to become, a pastor, and so he does. But his first, I think his first church, the bishop basically wants him to get it ready for sale. So they want to sell this church off to like a big warehouse type company or something like that, whatever. And then because it's going under, they have a large mortgage and they don't have a lot of followers in the church. So they just want to sell it, and then they'll move him on to a better place, a better church that he could run. And during this process, as he's doing that, of course, he's getting some pushback from the followers that are at the church. They aren't all on board, of course, but also at this point, refugees from Burma happen to be in the area, see one of the flyers, and come to his church and ask for help because they have nothing. They're sleeping on floors. They don't have enough food to eat, that kind of thing, and wanted the church to help them out and proposed the idea of just building a small little garden there to help grow, and so they could eat the food from the garden. While they try and find work and things like that, and they're finding work and they're helping them out. But then he comes up with the idea of, hey, why don't we turn all the fields around the church or all the land around the church into a farm, and they can feed the refugees as well as sell some of the stuff from the farm so that they can pay for the mortgage. And so in order to make this happen, they have to present that to the board and see if they'll allow him to go ahead and create a farm in order to pay off the mortgage. But that would mean not selling the church right away. So that's really what it's all about, and that's a better synopsis of what I tried to summarize for you prior to the start of this. Coach Whitey is the protagonist. He's the one follower who is against all of this, so I thought that was interesting. Coach Whitey, again, from One Tree Hill, so Katie, if you're watching, you know who I mean. But we'll see how it goes here. For one piece of feedback here, it kind of seemed very rushed. You know, the refugees show up, we got this idea, and boom, they're gonna, let's do this. You know, so that's one thing I don't think that they built up enough. But oh, one very important fact that I wanted to share real quick that I forgot to, and it is based on a true story. So always, I love true stories. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna get back to it. Got an hour and 4 minutes remaining. See if I'll check in again, and we'll let you know how it's going. All right, see ya. Okay, everybody, we're at the credits. So I didn't check in again. Just watched the whole movie. It got a little difficult to watch. You know, those movies where things continuously bad happen. I just don't like those kinds of movies. So as I told you, the whole plan is to start a farm around the church so that they can raise money for the mortgage and feed the refugees. And so that's the whole plan. And of course, wouldn't you imagine everything would go wrong? I mean, essentially, you know, the first thing, everything, you know, is going well. Everybody's working together, building that community. Great. And then, of course, no rain. Like you could imagine, there's no rain. All right. So now they got to figure out a way to water these fields. They're working on getting a hand sprayer, and that's not enough for them to make it happen. And then finally they get I forget what it's called. It's like a big tank that you can put on the back, and it'll spray the fields. If you're a farmer, you know, so somebody actually donates one. It's like, all right, great, you know. So they get that water sprayer, and then the truck doesn't work. Like they try and pull it around in the truck breaks down. It's not big enough, so they need a tractor. So okay, so they need a tractor. They go and they try and work out a deal to give them a tractor, and the guy at best will give them $6,000 to buy for the tractor at cost, which isn't bad. But of course now the pastor has to put his own $6,000. He has to take out a personal loan, even though he's already maxed out all his credit cards on this whole venture, and he has to get a tractor so he can now spray the fields. Oh, oof, okay, looking good, you know. And then they come to the day, the harvest. They're gonna harvest all these, you know, all the entire field. It's gonna be great. They should have enough, based on their calculations, to pull this all off. Well, wouldn't you know it, after all of this, no rain or anything like that, then they get the heaviest rains ever, and it floods the entire field. You can't make this stuff up. And so, okay, so it floods the whole field. They still managed to get a lot of the crop off of the fields, or out of the fields, and they're organizing it. And throughout the whole thing, they're growing some Asian flower. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but you know, it's from the refugees came up with these seeds, brought the seeds with them, and they said they can sell them to like an Asian restaurant who would be interested in that. And so although all of the tomato, the corn, everything like that, there's a lot of it, but there's not enough to pay everything off. But they call this Asian restaurant in Nashville, and they say, yeah, you know, bring it up, we'll buy it all. And if they buy it all, they're gonna hit their numbers, and they should be all right, and everything will be better. Well, wouldn't you know, as he's driving up to Nashville, so they asked the one refugee to drive it up, who's been like the leader of them all, and he gets pulled over, and they impound the bus that he's driving up with all this Asian flour in, and it sat in the sun for 5 hours or whatever, and so all of that spoils. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The series of events that made it so difficult to watch. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen here? I mean, everything was going wrong for them. So that made it painful for me, and that's why my rating's probably gonna be a little bit lower. I do like the fact that it was based on a true story, and in fact, most of the refugees in the story actually play themselves. So I don't know if it was all of them. It wasn't the main refugee, the leader. Ye Win was his name. Ye Win, I don't believe. But then they show pictures at the end of, you know, Ye Win and Father Spurlock, who is John Corbett's character. So I guess overall the movie's about, you know, coming together as a community and helping each other out and believing in a higher cause, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if you're interested in seeing it, go ahead and watch it. I'm not going to tell you how it ends. I can tell you a lot of the bad stuff. It just keeps happening to them. So, so I'm going to give it a 6. Again, I've done ratings like this before. It's not so much about the movie, but how it made me feel. I hate those things where everything continuously goes wrong for people. Just ugh. If it wasn't for that, maybe a 7. But again, it's got a good story to it. Maybe some good lessons there about not quitting and stuff like that. But check it out. Let me know what you think. That's really it. I'm not going to go into it anymore. I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it is a true story. Those I love. Faith-based. Always a good message. And just a couple of, hard points to watch for me. Maybe you can get through it and maybe you would enjoy it. If you watch it, leave me comments. If you decide not to watch it, say thanks. Comments. That's what I'm looking for. And likes. And subscribers. Alright. That's it. KimmelsIrishPub.com. Thanks for tuning in.